Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. Today we have a couple little mods planned for the Chevy Colorado that is going to help with everyday use and the security of some previous mods we've done. So let's just get right to them. So these are two of the things we have to install today. So number one, we did go ahead and get the ProClip mount for the Colorado as well. Number two is coming from Off-Highway Equipment's website, and it is going to be a OEM style light bar switch. Comes with everything you need as far as crimp rings and everything else that you may need for the installation. Ultimately, this is what it is though, right here. So as you can see, this is an OEM style switch. If we look closer, it gives me the option for a fog light and an auxiliary light. So I will actually be able to control my factory fog lights and the light bar right from this light switch. Obviously, this replaces the factory light switch in the truck, so we'll have to pop that one out. This is the harness that will make sure that everything factory works, as well as this additional wire sticking out will connect to the rest of the wiring for the kit to make sure that I can control my light bar with this switch as well. Here is the additional wiring, so this will plug into the back of that switch with the additional wire sticking out. And all the wiring is real nicely braided and everything. The only thing I'm gonna have to do is actually connect a couple of the power wires to the physical wire coming from the rough country light bar, which isn't going to be a problem because there's 3 wires here and there's 3 wires coming from the rough country light bar. So it's pretty simple. They're not color coded, but I do know what wires go where, and I'll show you the process as we get into it. There are 2 additional things I'm going to install on the truck that are pretty simple that haven't arrived yet, so those will come in a minute. 2 security style screws for the front light bar. They're basically a Torx bit with the metal sticking out in the center, so you have to use a specific special tool to remove them. Second thing is actually going to be for security as well. It's going to go in the rear of the truck to allow the tunnel where you insert the tool to lower down your rear spare to be locked. So it's basically just a little lock that goes into that tunnel so people can't stick any kind of tool in there and steal your tire. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the installation of the light switch first. So let's just get right to it. So first step, go ahead and crimp on the provided crimp rings here. They will allow you to make these connections a little easier. If you want to go ahead and solder them, you definitely can, but I don't see a reason to, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the easy push connects here. This actually came with a crimp ring on the negative terminal here. I actually cut that off and just put on something I'm going to be able to splice right into the rough country wiring, just so I don't have to worry about hooking anything up to the ground, because the rough country wiring is already wired up to the negative battery terminal. So this entire harness is actually going to connect right to the current rough country stuff. I'm just going to cut the connector off of that and use that. So this is one of the reasons I'm not real pleased with the rough country switch. This thing will not stay stuck up under here. This adhesive on the back is extremely sticky, but for some reason it will not stay stuck up underneath here. So it's real cheap feeling. I mean, even the buttons like moves around a lot whenever you're trying to push it. I don't really care for the fact that there's always a light on there too. So I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, just cut this off and use the wiring from this to put on the new switch. So as you can see, this is the factory switch. It just has a button for the fog lights, that's it. Whereas the new one has fog lights over here and an auxiliary switch over here. If you're like me and you're using the rough country light switch and the rough country light bar, I'm going to go ahead and cut this connector off. Just cut these wires. That way I can save the entire wire in case I ever want to use this switch again, but ultimately I'm going to use this connector just to keep everything looking neat under the dash. So I'm going to cut these wires right here and splice them into the new switch's wires. This is now cut off. I'm going to go ahead and start splicing these into the new ones. The blue will go to blue, black will go to black, and the red will go to the white. That way everything operates just like rough country wanted it to, but now we have a better switch. And here it is connected to the new light switch's harness. Everything's connected up, ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and start installing it now. All right, so inside the truck, we obviously have to pop this panel out to get this switch off. So this panel is actually pretty easy to pop out. If you just grab it right here and just start pulling it back, these clips actually pop right out, so give you access to behind them. All right, so that's pretty much it. When you're in the back here, you'll want to just stick a little screwdriver in here, slide back this red protective clip here, and then you should be able to just squeeze this and pull it right on out. just like that. So with that unplugged, now we can pop out this assembly and put in the new one, which is done by these clips on the side. You'll see there's one right here and there's one down here. You'll just push something like a screwdriver in there to release the tension, and then you can push the entire assembly through the back. So there it is out, both of them side by side. As you can see, it's just that one extra button just for the light bar. So then we'll just go ahead and put this one right back in the hole here and just slide it in from the back, and there's just a couple clips on the back that will snap into place just like that. We'll just plug the factory wiring back in, push down that security tab, and then take the extra wire and make sure you put it back through here, not underneath there. So you're going to want it to go through that cavity right there so we can get to it from underneath the dash. Now we just got to finish up the wiring and we're good to go. I got it all pushed back together, just a couple push clips. All the wiring still flowing freely nicely down here. Got the rough country connection made back up here. So all I got to do is just get rid of the wiring, zip tie it all up under. This relay box actually has built-in zip ties, so should be able to handle that pretty easily. But just to test it, if you listen, it's actually kicking off a relay right in here, and that's what allows that to work. So if I hit it, then we come around to the front of the truck, there it is. So we basically have a very OEM style light switch for the light bar. It looks fantastic. And just to verify stock operation, I'm gonna hit the fog light switch. Should be able to see it illuminate on the dash, and sure enough, there it is. So we're all good. Like I said, I'm gonna zip tie this wiring up, and then it's on to the next install. So I've had a lot of requests asking to see the light bar at night to see how much light output it has. So I'm gonna show you right now. I just installed the new switch, so I can just reach down to the left here and actually turn on the light bar. So no lights on at all, and that's how much light output the light bar has. I can literally drive down the road with no headlights on at all, and that puts out probably more output than my headlights and fog lights combined do. With the headlights and fog lights on, this new headlight switch actually illuminates blue around it. The stock one didn't do this, so it's kind of interesting to see that it has that ring around it now. And I can choose to turn on and off the light bar right here with this button. And then this one over on the left is just the stock fog light control. But if you guys do go to get this, just keep in mind it will have that blue ring around it now, whereas the four-wheel drive selector here doesn't have it. I don't think it is an option through GM to have that one light up at all, but this one over here will light up blue on the Colorados and red on the Canyons. Next, we're going to jump into the ProClip. Like I said, I have one of these in my Corvette. I'll link that video right up here if you want to check that out. But ultimately, this is a really awesome phone holder solution. So we're going to get this put in the truck right now. It is a really nice quality piece. Somehow ProClip makes just a hunk of plastic look like a quality piece. I don't really know how that's possible, but it comes well packaged and the instructions are very clear. But basically, this is going to mount right here. So in between this bezel, around the radio, and down in between the glove box and the dashboard plastic. So it will kind of pinch it in place. So first step's going to be go ahead and remove the protective film on this tape on both ends here. Next, you want to use the tool provided, which is called the gap opener. And we're going to basically just stick this in between the trim, create enough of a gap that we can slide this in. All right, so that's it. Like I said, you just use the gap opener tool, spread this open here, slide a piece underneath between the trim and the dash, and then down underneath here. Do the same thing right here. Separate that piece of the dash, slip this in between, and then clip them back down. Now I'll just go ahead and bolt the actual phone holder onto that piece of plastic and we'll be good to go. For the final piece here, this is phone specific. Mine is a Google Pixel 3, so that's the actual phone mount I got. This part is separate from the actual base. So for this, we want to stick a screwdriver in that center hole there, unscrew the back, which will pop off this whole piece here so we can screw it onto that plate there. All right, I got all those screws in there loosely. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten them all down, and then we're good to put this center part back on. Keep in mind you're just screwing these into plastic so you don't have to go crazy with the torque. So those are tightened down. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the center piece back on. There's just a screw that's right here in the center. You can screw it right back onto the actual mount. And this is on a ball mount, so you can move it around, basically position it however you want. And there's what the final product is going to look like. Like I said, it's on a ball mount, so you can move it however you want, but it is on there very sturdy, and it's a new good place to hold the phone. Now, the good thing about these mounts is it actually does still allow for cable to be plugged in, so I can still plug it in right there and still run my Android Auto up on the screen. Here are the security screws. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that, but there's basically just a little piece of metal that sticks up inside there that you have to have a special key to remove. Now, like I said, these aren't necessarily going to completely eliminate theft. They're just going to help deter it. This side's already in. It's as easy as taking out the regular ones. These are just regular hex key or Allen key. And then the security bolts are also an Allen key, but have a little metal thing inside there sticking out to make it so you can't just use a regular Allen key. The one packaged with it is this one. As you can see, also has a hole in the center. So you can kind of have a little bit more security because it's less likely somebody would have that on hand. But like I said, it's a deterrent. It's not something that's going to completely stop it. If someone really wants this light bar, they're probably going to get it regardless. My job is to make it as difficult for them as possible if they want to steal this. And there they are installed. So now my light bar is exactly 17.6% more secure. I don't really know, but every little bit helps. And lastly is this. So as you can see there's a keyhole, and then this entire piece actually gets inserted into the spare tire well tube that you would normally stick the tool in to lower down your spare. So this will actually block access to it unless you have a key. Now again, just like the security bits for the light bar, this is not going to stop someone from stealing it. It's going to deter them. It might help you out from time to time. But like I said, the idea here is to literally make this as difficult on a potential thief as possible. So if this even slows them down, it's doing its job. Now, if it stops them, that's great. But anyway, as you can see, it's not anything crazy. We're literally just going to stick it in there and lock it in place. I will include the link for everything I'm doing today down in the description below. This was around $30. The ProClip was around $50. The security bits for the light bar were only $6.99 on Amazon. The most expensive part by far was the off-highway equipment light switch. I'll link everything in the description down below, though. If you're interested, definitely check it out. So it's as easy as this. Just open up the access port here, put the key in this, turn it so the little locking thing is up inside. Then you can just take it, push it in here, and then just lock it. And that's it. Now, when you want to get that out, you just put the key in, lock it, and then pull it straight out. Basically, that little clip there actually clips into part of the tube where you can't remove it unless you have the key. And there's no pulling that out without the key. Well, this particular one actually comes with two keys. So I have one I keep in the truck and one that I keep in my tool chest in the garage just in case. So anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the comment section down below. If you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. There's gonna be plenty more Colorado content to come. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.